Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Glendening, Head of Marketing here at Hashdex. Alongside me, CEO Marcelo Sampaio. Marcelo, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
We're talking a little bit about global regulation, and it's been a wild ride just the last 6 months. Further the last 2 years, there's been a lot of developments in regulation globally. Talk to me a little bit about what you've seen from the developments of regulation within the crypto industry.
Yeah, so it depends really country by country, region by region, but it's definitely making progress. So I think MiCA in Europe was almost like a statement that said, okay, we're taking a close look at that. Like, we want to come up with rules. We're still learning in the process, but here are the first set of rules that we think it makes sense. You have countries like Brazil that really now has more like a strong or a clarity on the regulation side, being super pro-development of the market. You have the U.S. There, it's like the feeling is like it's more political in some senses, but at the same time, the market has been reacting to this in a way that said, okay, guys, this is serious. We should take this seriously. And yeah, we have, we have progress that happened, but we have a long way to go still.
Marcelo, we sit here at the Hashdex headquarters in Rio de Janeiro. You talked a lot about how starting in Brazil was really about being able to work with the regulators and their willingness to adopt crypto and really understand the ecosystem. Talk a little bit about the reasons why you felt like Brazil was the right place to start Hashdex.
Well, back in the day, really, there was nothing. I mean, nobody really knew about crypto or had any profundity on the topic. But Brazil had what I called at that time, some leaders with intellectual honesty. So they knew they didn't know enough, but they were open to learn. And they said, okay, that seems to be a big deal. Instead of having taking the position and say, no, we should avoid. Let's try to understand and understand who in that market are the players really of trying to make this right, and let's learn from it. And if there is merit, we go in and try to allow, that to develop and create a set of rules that are pro-development. So that happened in Brazil. So at that time, our Fed, or the Brazilian Central Bank, is the same president, Roberto Campos Neto, was really somebody that took the time and understood the potential, of crypto in terms of not only bringing productivity to the market as a whole, but really creating all sorts of features or novelty that were never possible before. So Roberto was very welcome into crypto and really I think that probably is now one of the big advocates in how crypto can improve markets in general. Our SEC, it's called CVM, also had a very similar approach. And to begin with, they allowed us to bring the first crypto ETF in the world from Brazil. Now, our product, our flagship product, is the second largest in terms of number of investors in the country. I mean, what shows the demand that there is, the repressed demand that there was at that time. Really took the approach to say, okay, this is something good, it's not bad. We just need to create a set of rules, to organize this market and let this thing to develop. So Brazil really, interestingly enough, is in the front seat, of this, this phenomenon that crypto is. Looking forward to see, what's coming next. It's very interesting.
Let's go from one type of regulator who's willing to work with crypto to another, and let's talk a little about the United States. A lot going on, obviously. Spot Bitcoin ETF filings, a lot of combativeness coming from the SEC in the United States. What's your sense of the U.S. market, what we're going to see in the short to medium term? And maybe let's tie it back to our previous question around Brazil. What are some of the things that the U.S. regulators can learn from the willingness by Brazilian regulators to actually adopt this asset class?
So look, U.S. is the largest capital markets in the planet. And honestly, it's understandable that because of that, U.S. needs to be more careful on how, not only to regulate, but it goes about crypto, right? Because it's whatever the U.S. the stand, it takes, it really, like will say a lot to the world. So it's understandable. With that said, I mean, U.S. historically is really the nation that embraces progress and technology, and teaches the world that. And this has been very different until now, for a number of reasons. But I think the issue now is that crypto became too politicized, and this has been in the way, and really should get out of the way for policymakers, regulators to really dive in and understand really what's what, and what is the potential, and pretty much create great rules for that to happen. Imagine if the U.S. had taken this approach for the internet, for instance, right? The world would be a very different place. We truly hope that things are gonna come together eventually, and not only the SEC, but truly the Senate, the Congress, all sorts of regulation agencies, really they work together, and in order to make viable crypto to develop and to deliver this beautiful future that we all think is possible.
You think by the end of this year, 2023, we'll start to see some movement in that way?
Yeah, I think absolutely. So the crypto spot ETF, again, nothing's sure. We have really no idea what's going to happen from now on, but I think there is at least this sentiment that things once you get clarity or so the market wants that, and the SEC at some extent wants that too, but done in the right way. So I think we might come from a very conservative place to a more neutral place in which said, okay guys, and how do you make this happen in the right way? And the crypto spot, the Bitcoin spot ETF is just a little first development, but it's going the right way because that likely will bring the the power dynamics of huge amount of capital, into this market, and this will absolutely have a positive impact, not only in price appreciation when it happens, but really around, the funding to develop a number of other blockchains and projects that will solve all sorts of problems. So I think so. I think U.S. We are, beyond the worst days in terms of crypto. I guess now we're getting more into a place that how do we make this happen, as opposed to we're not going to make this. Sure, make this happen.
Yeah. No, fingers crossed. Yeah. Thanks so much, Marcelo.
Thank you for having me.